All right, so we're in the routing screen. You can access by hitting the routing button. You can see all the channels and what the routing is like. I'm gonna select Panic, double tap it. So you can see direct out source and the mix sense. This is the most important part of the routing. Main LR, that sense whether or not if the signal actually contributes, it actually goes out into main LR mix. For Panic, you want it off. For other ones, depending on your needs, on or off. For front of house, I leave it on and then I fade down the mix. Reason to do that, if I need to make an emergency announcement during the service or for sound check, just making sure the left speaker is going out to the left speaker, right speaker is going to the right speaker, sound check purposes, announcement purposes, and whatnot. We may need to use that. So generally, FOH stays on, but Panic stays off because that's a private communication between the band and the leader. You can see the drums, everything is on. And you can see the pre and post. Post fader is going to take the actual LR mix fader level and then it will send the level into the bus depending on how much it is. Otherwise, it will be pre-fader. It will be actually per, and then you have to set the how much you're going to send on a per bus basis. And you can and you can adjust that by hitting these mix select buttons on the side that we reviewed before prior. Or you can just you can tap it and then you can just kind of start to adjust mix here. And then you'll notice how it's going. And then it's the post and the pre, so that's post fader, pre fader. And that's pretty much about it. And you can see everything's pre fader. That means it's not gonna take account what the LR faders are sending, and then it's going to send levels based on that, but it's actually an individual basis. So it's going to remain pre for our IEM mixes and for the most part our sub mixes unless we deem that we want to do a pulse fader. So that's routing. Going to meters. Input meters will show me all of the meters that's coming into the mix, and this is irrespective of whatever layers I go into. Let me zoom out. And let me kind of reframe this a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So right now we have nothing connected, so there's nothing coming in. Depending on, no matter what layers I go into, you would kind of expect it would change, but not really because this is all of our inputs. And notice the stereo channels, it gives me 2 channels. So it's like a left and right in a single strip. So it does save a little bit of space there. So normally you'd expect overhead left, overhead right, but that's actually just overhead into a single strip. You can see here, if this were a stereo, kind of like the USB, it would be consolidated into a single strip. All right, FX meters, all the FX meters, how much it's sending and how much it's sending back into the mix. Mix meters, all of my submixes. RTA, it shows me how the signal is behaving. Notice that RTA follows PAFL. Let me see if I can zoom that in. There's a verbiage right here. RTA follows PAFL. That means I have to actually select the signal to PAFL in order for it to analyze the signal. So if I were to do a PAFL on bass, it'll show me the bass. Remember PAFL, so you can see these 3, the bass, electric guitar, and electric guitar 2. They're all been PAFL, so send me the sum of those signals, and it will show me how those 3 signals are behaving. If I want to take a look at the EG2, just want to select the PFL and EG2 only. So be careful where you are when you're using this. Channel meters. And this is just how the lights are set up. No need to touch. Effects. So this one is stereo tap vocal delay, reverb, vocal delay, vocal reverb, instrument delay, instrument reverb. Let's see, if you want to load a different reverb unit, go into library, go into here, say I want a hall, recall. Then it'll call hall settings, and then you can kind of use these to kind of like figure out how much you want to change the parameters. Back panel, mix return, FX send. This is don't touch this unless you want to get into a little bit more trouble than it's worth. And this is kind of like and these are all based on their EMT units, their old insert units. Used to be that each of the reverb, back in the analog days, you'd actually have to have a rack unit per aux to actually have the reverb. Like if you want to like apply reverb to a vocals, and you actually have to buy an entire single rack unit dedicated to that. Configure your aux in such a way that it sends the signal to that reverb unit and then bring it back into the mixer. We don't have to do that these days. Everything is kind of integrated into here, so it's much nicer. So let's see, go into reverb. You got a lot of these, and then if you pay more money for it, we can do like really funky stuff like I think there's actually I believe we can recall that plate small space. Let's see here, library. Go into library, you'll see a lot of these. I think most of the verbs should be available. We did purchase the de-esser and the multiband compressor. And then I think the only thing we really want to buy, if we wanted to buy, was like different version of GEQ or compressor units that's kind of like emulation of optical compressor or analog compressor. I think if we go into if I select a channel, go into the processing, if I do a library, this is where you would have to actually see. So we don't have that fancy compressor unit, probably not necessary unless like we're in a really tightly controlled setting. So that's the effects. Feel free to play around with it, see what sounds good, what doesn't sound good. And we should have the bass set up already in the first scene EC, CA under the scenes, the very first one, or you can just recall the previous week. So we are now into the scenes. So every time you've done something and you need to edit something, or just once you're set up, I'll store it. Once you're stored, hit the pencil icon, change the name. My scene. And you notice the scene changed. Kind of get that over there. So hit the pencil. You can change your name to your liking. My awesome scene. And then name changes. Go. Yes. That'll recall what you did. So if you did something funky, so hold on. So you were mixing something and oh my gosh, everything's just kind of like, everything is just all out of whack. Like, I lost my vocals because I muted something and I forgot to unmute it. My DCAs are all out of whack. Go. Hopefully you'll be able to see the text. Yes. And then look at the flight faders. It goes back to what it was. Everything is unmuted the way it should have been. So, and if you're really lost, generally loading the last week's scene is a good way to go. And this is kind of like post sound check from November the 10th. And this was our scene that I just set up a moment ago. So you can kind of see how everything reacts. But be aware that once you recall everything, it will overwrite unless you recall, allow, or deny certain things. So you might want to be careful when you do it. Let the band know that you are going to recall everything. I believe there's a way to kind of like not allow like the auxes and the groups let's see. So if I do this block, it should theoretically block all of the changes from one scene to another in regards to the aux mixes. And let's see, patches, DCA, mute groups, input sockets, and whatnot. Generally, just let the band know that you're going to be loading up the scene if you really, really need to do it. Try to not load scenes during worship as much as possible unless it's like an absolute emergency. Setup, for the most part, try not to touch most of these. Let's see, strip assign is going to be how you lay out the strip. So let's say I want to kind of like say this week was yellow, simian, and red, but let's say we got yellow, green, simian, and red. Then kind of look for the strips up here. I'm going to actually zoom in to the screen, and then we'll see how that looks like after we've done those changes. There we go. So got yellow, simian, red, yellow. Let's say we got green next to yellow. Then we got simian. And then we got red. So basically drag and drop with your fingers. If that wasn't obvious, I'm going to try it with the red again. It will take about a couple of times to actually get it right. Don't worry about it. So we're going to do, let's see, yellow, green, red. So we need blue. So find the blue one. And we're going to replace the green here. And then so notice it's yellow, green, simian, red, blue. I think you probably saw the LED screen change, but if I were to kind of like focus it on here, you will see the same thing. Oh, and one more thing. So if you want to change the scribble strip, I'm gonna actually kind of expose it here just so you can see what's going on. Say for the yellow mic, say for that week, it's Eevee. Tap the yellow, shows up. And then you saw the name change. If you take a look at the ME1 mixer for the yellow mic, you'll see the name change in it takes about 30 seconds for that to really catch up. If you need to change the colors, hit the little color thing and it'll show you all the colors that are available. White, black. If I do black, does that do anything? Black turns off the strip. Red, green, blue, cyan, yellow, lavender, white, and whatever that color is. And you can't really customize the color. I think Eevee should be on yellow, so there you go. Scene. Go. Yes. And then it's back to yellow. All right, so that should be most of the functions. A couple of more things to be aware of. I'm gonna kind of reframe things here. Be aware of which bus you are in. Hit the LR if you want to make the changes to the main bus, FX bus, these buses. I have actually done a couple of times where I was in a different bus and I actually adjusted the mix thinking that was actually the LR mix. Not with Marshall per se, but at, let's see, Ford Amphitheater when I was mixing for a concert. I think I actually was adjusting the monitors without even me realizing it using the fader flip. So it was actually adjusting whatever was sending to the monitors as opposed to what I was hearing. So be really careful of what bus you're in. So if I'm on mix 1, the faders are going to show what the mix 1 is actually doing. I'm gonna reframe it here just to see if you can see it all. So this is the LR mix. It should be like this, but for some reason I needed to adjust something on the LR1. Or actually, it might be LR2. Mix 2 might be better. This is all of our vocals. It gets processed into the multi-band, but for some reason I needed to take that out. The keys shouldn't be in there, but for some reason it's in there, so I need to take that out. And then I just go back absentmindedly adjusting that. Thinking, oh, I'm actually adjusting the LR mix, but I'm not. Actually, I'm mixing the bus 2. So that could, and it will sound a little different, but hey, why isn't it adjusting my mix when I'm doing the drums? Drums are responding fine, but keys muted. Fade up, there's no change. Wait a minute, what's going on? It's not going to happen because we're not in the right bus. Make sure you're always in the LR bus if you want to adjust the LR mix. All right, that is the basic setup. One last thing that we are going to try is the USB utility SQ drive. In order to record onto an actual USB drive, hit the USB in the I/O. So I'm going to go into I/O, USB, and USB source, mix out. Actually, I think it's IP direct output. This is what we're recording onto our USB drive. Be aware, USB-B is actually a USB-B port on the back if you're recording to a computer. SQ drive, a USB HDD in the USB port right here. Apologize for all of these exposure jumps, just trying to get the screen lit up in a way that you can see it. So right now the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you see all of these matrices, all these fun stuff will be reconfigured for 16 channels, which means that I'll probably need to set up a different mix or whatnot. But the board has the capability of recording into either the USB drive at the USB port or to the computer by USB cable, but not to both, unfortunately. Maybe that function is coming in the future. We don't know. All right, that should be it of how to generally operate for Sundays, the SQ5 board. With this and the general setup video that we will be posting on YouTube, hopefully any emergencies come up, there should be enough materials right there. We'll also make the AVL manual available for you to download or to kind of refer to as part of the team. I think you should have all of those materials available. So hopefully this is enough information to get you all started. A lot of materials. I think I will break it up into different videos instead of just posting one in a single one. And then we'll just update that as we go on. All right, thank you. Oh, one more thing. With the USB drive, once it's plugged in, you'll see a little USB symbol on top. Let me kind of reframe it. Right there. That means you can go into scenes and you can actually save the scenes. Actually not, will be under utility. You can actually save a show into data. So we have set up on this the Maxo USB drive. Let me see if I can get that focus right there. There it goes. On this drive, it's set up. So if you see it, I don't know if it's legible or not, Marshall with DSP. This is the scene from the show from November 10th. Consider this a backup if anything should go awry during the interlude or after or before. Just recall this, highlight this, and recall. You see that all current settings and libraries will be overwritten. Are you sure that you want to proceed? If you hit yes, it'll wipe everything and it'll get the show settings from here, including the libraries, all the settings that you have saved or whatnots. So every once in a while, just kind of backing it up to a USB key would be awesome. So that is it. Any questions, let myself know, and we'll see you next time.